Another Abundant Shire video. I want to just go into a little more about our mission. I gave you little brief summaries, pieces here and there, and kind of a bit of our values. But now I kind of just want everyone to understand what it is I'm trying to create. Like I said, I'm trying to create a city within a city. I want us to have our own bus lines so that when we are housing specific individuals, we can get them to and from jobs. We almost want to take out all of the nicks and knacks. I noticed that most homeless shelters right now provide you a bus pass if you can prove that you have a job interview. So what happens if somebody calls you on the spot asking you to show up at their home and wants to, see if you'd be a good nanny, or wants you to show up at the job at 12 today and they're in another town because the shelter around them were either closing or they were taken to another location due to a friendly citizen giving them a ride. I can't tell you how many homeless individuals I interviewed, and they all qualified for housing. They all qualified for shelter, but they were still homeless. I have even witnessed where an individual's homeless and they don't do anything because they have been so burned out by so many shelters saying, oh yeah, we're going to help you, we're going to help you, or just people throwing paper at them. Here's a number. Here's a 600 page of numbers and only 37 are actually in order because they don't even check their work anymore. I actually studied this. I went to schools, I went to shelters, I went to women's shelters and whatnot, and they all just gave me packets. I called all numbers on that packet. The only numbers that were working or actually provided the service listed was St. Mary's, St. anything. Everyone else, it was a 50-50 shot. They either don't pick up their phones or they do not help anyone. So with Abundant Shire, I want us to be able to provide that public transportation where we help people in bundles go apply for medical, go apply for this job. We'd work with certain companies and make certain contracts so that we can make sure that our guys are able to get to work and from safely, and encourage them to want to work because we make it more convenient. After we get them to a certain amount of sum, if they have debt, get that debt paid off and, a little savings, then we help them find shelter on their own. And of course, our doors are always open. Being that it would be its own community, we would have our own psychological thriller, if you will. Our park, I think I spoke about it in our other video, where we want to make sure that we help people fight their demons. I love music, dance, and just, for me, I used to do writing when I had emotion, but that was taken from me, so I no longer do it. Taken by me in a different way. It turned into writing and fiction rather than Dear Diary. For some people, we'll make sure that we always provide them their own journal so they can record their time from here and now, and we'll encourage that because we want an individual to see their growth. Sometimes people don't realize how much they've grown or how much they've changed until they can look back. It's not as simple as, oh, we took a picture of you when you first got here, which we would also do, and now we're going to take a picture before you leave, because we want you to be able to really just reflect. We want to help our individuals reflect. Providing counseling, assisting them even going back to their home state. We hope to make Abundant Shire worldwide. So it's as simple as we have our own bus tickets, We send them back to our, whatever state they're from, but they're still connected to our abundant Shire. We're still getting them from and to jobs until they can actually, find work. And we'll always work with jobs that are close to public transportation. Some individuals won't be cleared to drive, and some individuals won't have enough funds to drive. We don't want to keep someone to the point where they die at Abundant Shire. Even if they're elderly, we want to make it where we either help them find a way of making money, get help with Social Security, or whatever it may be if they have a disability. Or even connecting them with family and friends and getting them connected with certain programs through Abundant Shire so that they can be able to take care of their parents, aunts, uncles, or brother, depending on, what their relation is to that individual. We want to also make it so where we can offer a place for students. Now, that's why I'm saying it has to be a community, because we have to have divisions in areas where certain people go, because we don't want to expose children to individuals who are coming out of, drug rehabilitation that may have, setbacks. Same thing with individuals who are coming out of prison. We want to make sure that we assist them, but we don't have clusters of, crime start up on our lands, or, we want to help individuals escape from gang life, but we don't want to bring the gang life to our cities. So there will be different divisions within the city, but it's all going to do the same thing. For the students, we'll help them get to, their job if needed, and we'll help them get to their school. Most schools provide a good care package for the kids if they go on scholarship or whatnot, and sometimes that's the case. They have a scholarship, but it only covers for books, school, and possibly like maybe a bus pass for the year. But they don't have any money for living standards, and the living standards are ridiculous. Whether it be next door to them or just be on the dorm, in the dorm rooms, it's just very expensive for the everyday man and woman. And from there, we want to make sure that we help develop them as well. We want to make sure that within that development, we provide certain courses for the homeless and for the non-homeless but struggling individuals. This also means for families too, if they have daughters, sons, if they have recently been laid off or for some reason aren't able to afford their expenses. We want to be able to help them be able to pay off their mortgage while giving them a place to stay. I mean, we want this to be a place where people come, no matter homeless or not, when they are in a jam. We're trying to minimize crime. We're trying to minimize people just being booted out of their homes, losing their homes. We're trying to really beat that snowball effect that we see happening, but we ignore and wait for the individual to fall smack on their face before we can actually assist them. We want to help with the book smarts, street smarts, and self smarts. Book smarts, having knowledge obtained by reading and studying rather than just particular experience. Street smarts, having experience and knowledge necessary to deal with potential difficulties, dangers of life, in like urban environments. Smarts, where it's the ability to know oneself and act on the basis of self-knowledge. Body smarts, specific physical skills such as coordination, balance, strength, flexibility, and speed. We also want to help individuals with, definitions of different kinds of happiness, from logic, intelligence, musical intelligence, interpersonal intelligence, intrapersonal intelligence, as well as linguistic intelligence, and kinesthetic intelligence, and so much more. We're going to have different forms. We want to definitely educate people about different disabilities. I can't tell you how many times I've witnessed individuals just wrongly, just label someone or assume their disability, and it's completely wrong. And it's a good thing that they're trying to educate their kids, but they're also educating them with the wrong information. So it's like, you're kind of not helping the situation. How are they to know if they have never been exposed to such things? Well, I want to connect our mentally ill and our disabled to the world. They're no different from anyone else. Let me see. Even home ed, food nutrition, health, personal finance, family resource management. We want to help with textile and clothing, shelter and housing. Like I said, it's going to be our own area. We even hope to have our own gas station. And consumerism and consumer science, household, food science, hospitality, teaching them just how to be prepared for the world, but also host a party if they need to. Learn how to network, learn how to present themselves, just to be more connected to themselves. When you go through struggle, you do the most sometimes self-destructive things because you were trying to go in survival mode. But if you don't know how to survive in the situation, you're going to make a lot of mistakes. It's just going to happen. It makes you human. We'd like to even help individuals with sexual orientation. We don't want to encourage children to be put into the LGBT parties or push them to learn too much about sexuality, but we do want them to learn about the birds and bees, because I'm seeing too many single mothers and single fathers. I mean, no disrespect for those who like being single mothers and fathers, but this needs to be addressed. Someone's not getting the conversation they needed to understand the importance and difference between dating and hookup culture. And we want to just educate individuals on that, how it became Sex Ed 101, HIV, STDs, pregnancies, how it happens, the basics, almost like you're back in middle school. When it comes to our security, we definitely want to be a high-tech community. We will have cameras in every door, every walkway, because we want to know who's coming in and who's going out. This is both for the individual's safety and the company. Like I said, if we're taking individuals who used to be in gangs, some of them will be murdered or be told to be murdered if they leave the gang. As well as individuals who may be running from an abusive spouse, family member, and so we want to make sure that we provide an area that cannot be overridden. Our doors are going to be pretty thick, even just for our night stays or our month stays, depending on the individual's situation. But it's all going to be connected to Gigits, as well as to a couple other companies we hope to do some work with. Sleeping quarters are open to all. Like I said, whether you're poor, running from domestic abuse, a student who can't afford housing, and/or we want to be able to provide a shelter for all. We want to beat that snowball effect and help individuals get jobs. I mean, right now there's so many jobs, yet there's so many homeless. It's because it's offered, but it's not within grasp. And I think we need to create an option for that. How are we supposed to get a bus pass from a nonprofit if we are in another town, or we're just not next to it, not in walking distance, and nobody's going to let us get on the bus for free? It's really unorganized. We also even let volunteers stay on there if they come to help us, whether it's for our psychology division, our architect division, our classes or whatnot. It's going to be free provided, and they'll have their own shelters where most teachers and volunteers will sleep in the same quarters. And we hope to build a playground that is both handicap friendly and non-handicap friendly. The idea is to have one mirroring the other. So children are exposed young at, this is what a child with a wheelchair does, or these are the struggles. We want them to see it. When it's out of sight, it's out of mind. And I think this is why a lot of people are ignorant in different traditions of ethnic individuals, as well as disabilities, or just different, because it's not been they have not been exposed to it. So it has caused them to make up their assumptions of what this means or what they are. We'll have our own youth centers for there with bowling, extracurriculum assistance. We'd like to work with the schools within the area. So if a student is not thriving in the schools after schools study program, we'd like to go ahead and take over, have our volunteers or teachers assist with this child, as well as offer what I was talking about with our happiness classes and street smarts, book smarts, and whatnot, and making sure that we properly develop and pick off where the school left off, so that we can assist them, as well as making sure that the youth center also has video games, brought to you by Nintendo or big companies where we're all familiar with how to use their products and whatnot. Father-daughter dances, um, dancing, activities, encouragement, social interaction, simulations, reading, writing, crafts, even help kids create items that they could later sell for their own fundraisers or just, help create the new entrepreneurs of the world.